everybody, and welcome back to my channel for this Sunday morning, afternoon or evening across the world where you may be at. And today I've got a Daily Mail article for you which reads, Doctor reveals the 10 questions that could determine if you have autism. It was uploaded by the journalist Rebecca Whitaker on the 31st of October. And as an autistic woman, I am not a professional medic. I don't work in healthcare. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psych doctor. I'm not an autism professional. I'm just someone that is autistic and on the autism spectrum, and feel it is important to bring this to you. And so I'm going to read the article and then give you my thoughts at the very end. So without further ado, let's get into it. A top GP has taken to social media to share the top 10 key questions that could help determine whether a person has autism. London-based medic Dr. Samem Mehazer outlined the signs and symptoms this week to his 281,000 TikTok followers. Called the Autism Spectrum Quotient, the AQ10 test, the simple questionnaire is used by medics to see if someone shows general traits of the condition. Designed for over 16s, it consists of 10 questions focusing on social skills and communication, and if you score more than 6 points, you might be autistic. It is estimated that around 700,000 people, including adults and children in the UK, have an autism diagnosis, with thousands more having it without knowing. With numbers of children affected continuing to rise, earlier this year, the Mail Online revealed in some areas families are waiting up to 4 years for an assessment. Being autistic, the NHS says, does not mean you have an illness or disease, rather it means your brain works in a different way from other people. Autism can be widely varied between individuals. Some will be able to lead fully functioning lives with no additional help, while others may need full-time assistance. So I'm going to scan down from the pictures into the next bit of text. Classic signs of the disability include trouble communicating, finding certain situations overwhelming and repetitive behaviours. The Autism Spectrum Quotient is a brief screening tool designed to identify signs that suggest a person could have autism, Dr. Mehazer said. It consists of 10 questions that focus on social communication, behaviour, and how someone processes the information. While the AQ10 can provide an indication of autistic traits, it is not a diagnostic tool. A high score on the AQ10 could suggest that further assessment may be necessary, but it cannot confirm an autism diagnosis. Dr. Mehazer also added that the test serves as a preliminary step to highlight whether a more comprehensive evaluation by a healthcare professional may be warranted. He continued, an official diagnosis requires an in-depth analysis, including clinical interviews, developmental history, and observations by specialists. The AQ10 can be a useful first step in recognizing potential signs of autism, but it is not definitive, merely a guide to help determine if additional pressures and insights are needed. This test helped doctors to figure out if you could have autism or not. Scores of 6 or less makes autism unlikely. Always go with your first instinct. To take the test yourself, answer the questions in this panel below. So these are the 10 questions which I'm going to read to you. You score 1 point if you agree with any of these following 4 statements. 1. I often notice small sounds when others do not. Number 2. I like to collect information about categories. Number 3. I find it difficult to work out people's intentions. Number 4. When I'm reading a story, I find it difficult to work out the character's intentions. The next set of questions, you score 1 point if you disagree with any of the following statements. Number 5. I find it easy to read between the lines when someone is talking to me. Number 6. I usually concentrate more on the whole picture rather than the small detail. Number 7. I know how to tell if someone is listening to me is getting bored. Number 8. I find it easy to do more than one thing at once. Number 9. I find it easy to work out what someone is thinking or feeling just by looking at the face. Number 10. If there's an interruption, I can switch back to what I was doing very quickly. So they are the questions. I will link this article down below in the video description, but now I'm going to give you my thoughts as a autistic woman. So we're going to scan back to the beginning of the article. So The AQ10, I don't agree that it should be used on YouTube or TikTok as a potential for a screening or assessment, because it's very, very dangerous giving someone a potential label or box to fit in. I think that is potentially very dangerous. I know self-identifying is valid, and people who do self-identify is absolutely fine, but again, this can be very dangerous. And I like the fact that it gives the statistics about number of children and adults with autism in the UK. One thing that I do worry about, though, is the 4 years wait. The 4 years wait can cause increased anxiety, increased mental health issues for a family and the person waiting in general. I think we need to have more of a accessible time for autism assessments and diagnoses here in the UK. I can only speak for a UK perspective because obviously I'm British, but I think this is a very serious issue. 4 years is too long of a wait, and I think this is down to funding, it's down to lack of staff working within the field, it is down to lack of neurodivergent or autistic people working within autism to help make it less of a burden and less of a longer wait. But I do like the fact that they've said autism can vary between individuals, because a lot of the time autism is talked about like it's one stretch of autism for everybody. It's not. Autism is such a very spectrum that we need to be very careful of how we label people. I think also this can be quite a good screening tool as well. I think this is going to give someone who may be waiting for an autism assessment to feel less alone, to understand what the questions are going to be asked of them. I think we have to be very careful with the way the questions are worded and the way that it can be used to help them get used to what autism is or what they identify with. At the same time, you should always seek a professional. You should never go online and do these kind of tests without further researching or getting in touch with your clinician or any kind of person that helps you with your health, because again, this is something that we have to be very careful with, labelling, giving people the chance to identify with something that may not be accurate or maybe the wrong identification. So again, we do have to be very careful. These kind of articles can sometimes be misleading as well, saying this is how autism looks like, or this is what we think means that you could be autistic. No, we have to be very careful again, because we don't know if these questions are accurate for everybody to go through the autism spectrum quotient. Also, again, the question should be differently worded, differently laid out for people who are more severe or more high functioning. We need to be careful when we differentiate the language, but I do like the way that it's used as a way to inform people for awareness perspective, for education perspective. I think it's something we all need to do better at, and the more better communication we can have, the more we can help each other. So I think this is going to be a good tool for education and awareness raising. I think it's a good tool that a medic is doing this on his TikTok account, because it's going to give that education, that reassurance, that support and love, knowing that there is someone who understands it, who gets it. There is someone there that you can talk to about it. But again, we have to be very careful with the conversation, how we talk about it, what wording to use, what language to use, the tone of voice to use. So again, it's just a case of simple communication tasks. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing my perspective. Please give this a like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.